Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into this week's edition of Bullring Breakdown. I want to thank you all for listening. Want to just remind everybody, please like and subscribe on the YouTube page, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on Facebook and TikTok at Woodhall64 as well. Well, first thing I want to get to here is a little bit of a somber note. I do want to send our condolences to um, Carl Guild and Tim and his family. Unfortunately, Carl passed away. I believe it was last weekend. Um, for anybody that knew him, he was a great guy. Uh, he sat at the top of the grandstands every week, and I walked by him every single week, and just the enjoyment that he got out of watching Tim race and everybody race, and he will be sorely missed. So a little bit of a sad way to start, but I didn't want to get through this episode without just saying a heartfelt condolences to Tim and his family, and uh, it's going to be hard for him. I know. I can't imagine what it'll be like for him the first time he straps into a race car next season, but um, you know, so uh, just want to start off by saying that, but we are going to move on to a few things. I do want to let everyone know that we are having winter meetings for the Woodhall Raceway. A few things being discussed. Nothing major really coming down the pike or anything. I wouldn't be uh, too concerned about much. So, just we're working our way through the winter, and hopefully to make the 2026 season even better. I thought 2025 was pretty successful, and hopefully we can make 2026 even bigger. So, with that in mind, I do want to remind everybody that the interviews are brought to you by D&L Disposal. They offer a regular residential garbage route in Jasper, Truthburg, Woodhall, Addison, and the surrounding areas. Aside from that, they also offer dump trailer service rentals for your bigger needs. They'll drop it off at your location. All you have to do is load it up and they'll come and take it away. Give them a call at 607-382-7609 to get started with D&L Disposal, the premier residential waste management service in the Woodhall area. And I get to welcome in my guest. My guest is he might kick me. I believe two-time street stock track champion, two-time um, Rush Crate late model track champion, back to back for the late models. So we're going to get Brett Marlatt. Brett Marlatt going to join me here this evening. We're going to talk a little bit about what's in store for him. So let's just go ahead and get him in here.
All right.
So, Brett, how we doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
Well, just happy to be here. I think I say that every week. So, the first thing I want to touch on, back-to-back track championships. Hey, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, I really didn't think I'd be here. I always ran the street stock class. I ran that class a lot of years, and I never really thought that I'd move into the late models. Always wanted to when I was younger. Um, they started coming around the area with the crate late model class, and Bryce got into it, and then Jason was into it. Austin got into it, and I figured I should probably try it out.
So, is that just what made you make that switch? You just seeing all them guys run it, you kind of got the itch, or?
Yeah, I mean, we ran street stocks a long time. We had won just about everything there was to win, up here in the northern part of PA. Had a lot of good finishes at some other big events. And, I started traveling a little bit with those guys and helping them out. And it was time to kind of change the scenery a little bit, get a little bit different competition and see what we could do against those guys.
Do you uh do you enjoy it a little bit better?
Honestly, Joe, as long as I'm racing, I enjoy it. There's guys I miss racing with. You got Glenn right now, or he's always fun to race with in the street stocks. Teddy Morseman, all those guys. Um, but then again, you run another class and you become a competitor with somebody else, and you still get the same vibes from them, and it challenges you more. The more drivers you race against, the more tracks you go to, and the more time you put into it. It's just all fun in the end.
Right. Well, that's kind of the awesome thing about those cars is they're pretty standard no matter where you go. You're running
Yeah,
the same rules.
Yeah, for the most part, other than change of shocks here and there, a little bit of gear adjustment, for the most part, pretty standard.
Yeah, that's probably a big change from back when you ran the street stocks. I think every track was a little different.
Yeah, the motors were different, transmissions were different. Just the setup alone, you went through different shocks, springs, gears. On top of that, the heads were different. Just everything about it was different. You almost had to change the car just to go to a different track. It was tough to travel, back then, where I think the tracks have kind of gotten together now. They're getting on the same motor rules, and it's a little bit easier for those guys to travel. I think it's good for all of them.
Yeah, it's pretty. I think it's good for everybody. You can put on a Woodhull 100 deal and get 35 of them. Just it's kind of hard to
Oh,
expect
I know, and
constant.
this year was a pretty good race. Yeah, and I mean this year was a pretty good, 100. Chris Woodard there, he had a really strong car. Glenn's pretty. He's a pretty good competitor. He's ran just about everything down there. I mean, it's going to take a pretty good car and a pretty good night and a little bit of luck to beat him down there.
Right. Do you remember that race pretty well? That 100?
This past year's 100,
Yep.
or
So
yeah, I did get down there and I did watch that one.
okay, so what I want to know is a driver's point of view. I asked Chris Woodard this in Victory Lane. What did you think about him taking the inside on that restart after the halfway point?
It's really hard to answer that, Joe. I wasn't in the seat. I know his car was really strong up top. I know Glenn's pretty smart, and I think either way, it was going to be a pretty tough last few laps for him to hold Glenn off. He had a strong car. He was just as fast as him. It fell the other way this time.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That's one of my most favorite races to watch. Do you kind of miss running in that for the
I
past?
do miss that. I really miss running in that the hundreds. I mean, there was a lot of strategy that went behind that, just tires and when you were actually going to hit the loud pedal and go. I mean, a lot of those races I started actually towards the back and we'd work our way up through, but you're trying to save tires the entire time, and you just kind of pick them off one by one, stay out of trouble. And if you had something there for the last 25 laps, then you could turn it on. The one there that I was lucky enough to win, we started on the pole, we won the heat, we won the dash, and went into the feature starting on the pole, so you could kind of set cruise control there for a little while and save tires and really not beat the car up. The year after that, we led. I think we led up into the 80s somewhere, and the left front ball joint breaks. I had just replaced that 2 weeks prior to that, and it's just one of those things. You can't prevent it from happening. If it's going to happen, it's just luck wasn't on your side. We went to the 100 or I guess it was the 50 lapper the next week at Outlaw, and we were leading that, and we blew a right rear tire in that, leading with 20 to go. So just wasn't meant to be. You just kind of take it and learn from it.
Right. That one at Outlaw, that might have been 100 back when you won the Woodhull 100. I don't know for
It could have
sure, but
been. I think it was 100, and I think that night they cut it to 50 because we had a big rainstorm come in. The track was pretty muddy, and it was already late because we've been packing the track all day. And I think they ended up cutting it to 50 that last year.
right. Did you like the 100 laps?
I did. I did. It's one of those events that you don't get to see very often. It's really good when they get a lot of cars. You start getting 30 and more cars. I mean, you're getting the best in New York, the best in PA. These guys have been all over the place. They've drove just about everything there is to drive, and it's really good competition between those guys.
Right. Because I always thought to cut it down to 50. And every street stock driver told me how dumb I was. Because
I
I
guess
just
it depends on. I guess it depends if you're leading on lap 49.
right. Well, because my thought was always that a lot of the times, and I think you'll vouch for this, is aside from a mechanical failure, it kind of seemed like whoever leads at that halfway point, it just kind of not every time, but a lot of the time it kind of ends up being single file after that. And I figured it'd save you guys gas and tire money and all that stuff. And every one of you or well, all the drivers told me how dumb I was and how awesome the 100 is and how it's different than anything else they get. And well, so
Yeah, it's all in how you look at it. 100 laps is a long time. In a street stock, you're running basically a stock frame for the most part. Pretty stock parts. I mean, a lot of those up at the A arms and the ball joints and everything these guys are getting from closes now. They're pretty well, built. And these cars are lasting a lot longer. The motors are stronger, a little bit more reliable. And the 100 lapper, it's just one of those things you don't get to do all the time. And if you are lucky enough to have a good finish or pull off a win, you can always say you won 100 lap race. And not a
Right.
lot of people can say that.
Yeah, definitely not, especially at Woodhull. That might be one
Yeah,
of the only
I
100 lap.
think Stebbins and right now are in CC. They've probably cleaned up most of them.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. I think Gene Balmer won the first. You
Yep.
won one, and Dan Gardner. And
Did
other
Teddy
than
ever
that,
win one?
no, Teddy never won one. No, that one surprised me as well. I thought Teddy would have had one too, but
I know he won one at Outlaw. He won
yeah.
one of the ones over there. He ran real good one night.
Yeah, I felt bad for him this year because, like I said, he never won one, and this year going into the weekend, he had such good momentum with a strong car, and then he was running second in his heat and got collected in some and when the leader spun out, and or I guess the leader blew a drive shaft. I don't want to, and then just more problems for him in the consi, kind of getting caught up behind other people, and you know,
Like like I said, it can all go bad really fast in that race. You know, you think you could be saving everything, 20 to go. You think you're in a good spot, and just something crazy happens that you have no control over, and you got to settle with it and basically plan for next year.
right. How much different is the late model?
It's quite a bit different. You drive with the throttle a lot more. These cars definitely have a lot more side bite, a lot more momentum. These larger sweeping tracks, you're constantly jacked right up in the air. What I realize most out of these cars is just how well they cut if you've got them handling. They'll cut right across the track once you get them squared up. Doesn't matter how slick that track is, and they're just a lot of fun to drive. You're racing against a lot of great competitors. Um, I know Woodhall this past year we didn't have many cars, and it sucks. I hope if they're going to have us this year, I really hope a lot of guys can make the trip over and run those shows. It's a lot of fun with those guys, and they're all pretty clean drivers for the most part.
Yeah, I think they all are. I mean, I'm probably not the best person to ask about that because I'm friends with a lot of them, but I'll call them clean. You are too, right? So I guess we'll call them clean drivers, except
I
for
think
maybe
everybody will
Jason.
say that, won't they?
Sometimes, well, sometimes Jason might get a little. And actually, I heard that
Well,
about Austin. I didn't watch it, but I guess Austin got into somebody this year too, so I can pick on him a little bit too. But of course,
probably
I couldn't
me.
drive a wheelbarrow, so.
Well, you demo, don't you? Don't you run the demos? So I mean, that's what you're used to.
Yeah, that's slow though for the most part. We're not going too fast. Fast is about 20.
Yeah, but don't they like dump the water rate to it to slick it up a little bit?
Most of the time, some
I haven't
places
been to a
don't.
demo in so many years.
Where's that Bath you usually went to?
Yeah,
You should go. You should bring a car. Would you ever run one?
no, I probably wouldn't do that, Joe.
Why
Can't
that?
say as I really enjoy watching them, but I don't think I could do it.
Too old?
Yeah, yeah, I'm getting old. Hey, finding that out this past weekend.
Right. Why's that?
I went down to after the awards banquet there. I went down to Kenny Peoples there. He had a kind of a little after party for him and his dad. He had a good year, and all the grown ups they wanted to play. Well, the kids wanted us to play a game of kickball, and of course the adults we were winning and just kind of jogging the bases a little bit and tore both my hamstrings. So that's
Wait,
been
wait.
kind of got me laid up a little bit here.
Did you actually tore them?
Yeah, yeah,
Really?
yeah. It's been fun
Holy,
the last couple days. Don't get
holy
around
cow.
as
I
well as
didn't
I
know.
used to.
So, I didn't even really mean to bring that up to you. I didn't even really know that I
Yeah, I
kind of,
didn't plan on talk. I really didn't plan on talking about it. It wasn't something you want everyone to know, but I guess that's beside the point now.
yeah. Well, I just kind of brought it up and I thought I forgot all about that, but that's too bad. I hope you heal all right. So what's your off season kind of looking like? I know right now you're kind of laid
Um,
up, but are you gonna just same car, same piece, just kind of go through it, or what are your thoughts, I guess, moving forward?
we've got some plans kind of set. We've been working on them. Um, I'll know more in the spring, kind of what we're going to do, where we're going to be. Um, this car here, it's for sale. If anybody wants it, please get a hold of me. I will make you the best deal you can't refuse.
Does that mean you're looking at something else, or is it just another different late model and you're kind of sticking with that whole?
Probably if I come back, it's going to be the late model. It'll be a different late model. Maybe just a little bit newer.
Hmm. What kind of late model is that, chassis wise?
This one here, mine.
Hmm.
This is a 2019 GRT.
Okay. Now, are you looking to stick with the GRT or?
No, we'll probably go to Rocket. GRT, they still build chassis. They've kind of lost their wheelman and the brains behind the operation there for the most part. And they just don't have a lot of guys. They build a lot of great IMCAs and other cars, but just they haven't they haven't been really racing in the big shows. The guys that give them all their feedback, they just don't have that many cars out there, and I don't think they're getting the knowledge that they need to really produce them, and they just kind of slowed down a little bit. You don't see too many GRTs, especially new ones in the area anymore.
Right. Wasn't that so back when Austin first started, wasn't that kind of the big thing, or has it always kind of been Rocket and GRT was kind of gaining steam, but
No, GRT. Bryce had a GRT. Austin had a GRT. A lot of those local guys had GRTs. I want to say even Bob Close. That's what he ran. Those guys. I mean, they set the world on fire with GRTs there for quite a while, and uh, it's just kind of one of those things. Over time, things change, and Rocket. You got all the big guys running them. The Longhorns. They're just kind of the thing where everybody's successful and they're doing really well, and that's kind of the go-to right now. A lot of feedback coming back from those guys.
right. Well, I do got to put you on the spot here. Do you have any plans this winter to find something for that 29 car? Cause
Uh,
boy is Steve fast.
yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it just seems like he shows up and I don't know how he gets it. If he's out front, it just seems like he's in a different ballpark. But I guess you
He's
were kind of the
definitely
same way. So,
he's definitely hooked up early on in the night when the track's kind of slicked up, a little bit more bite. Um, Early on in the year, he's really good. Late in the year, he's even better. It seems like late in the year they're trying to put water, salt, brine, whatever to keep the dust and stuff down. And I just haven't found a combination yet to hook it up to that. I've really struggled there. When that track dries out and there's dust, this year he's going to be up front.
right. Yeah, have you always been that way, or is this just something with the late model that you seem to like it a little better when it's a little drier?
I noticed it a little bit more in the late model. When we had that Gen 2 Nitro, that last street stock I ran, it was kind of similar to that. It's just I don't know what it is. You just don't have the side bite, you don't have the forward bite, and I can just go. I know exactly what combination to go to. I don't know if it's me as much as it is the car, or if it's the car as much as it is me. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit more of a finesse driver. I don't know. I struggle there.
Right. Well, you're also pretty new. So how many years did you run the street stock? You only got what, 3 years into the late model?
I got four in the late model, and I think I started running street stocks back in 2007. Cliff Moss, he put me in one of his cars. He had two street stocks at the time. He put me in one of his cars. We won four features that year. Ended up second points to Brian Knowles. Um, I ran his car another year. That was the year where I had my accident and I had to take the rest of the year off. And then we went and bought Josh Nebriga's car, and I think we won 10 features the first year with that. That was a really good car coming right out of the gate. And then I met Joel Batesel there from Nitro. I became really good friends with him. He put two cars together for me, and I learned a lot through him. And Joel from Closes, those guys, they've done a little bit of everything, and they just have a lot of technology that you can't beat, and they have the mindset to go with it. And you just got to listen to them. I mean, you got to give them the details of what you're feeling in the car, and they'll hook you up.
Right. You have, so I mentioned this before I got you onto the podcast. Do you have two track championships in the street stock?
I've got two in the street stocks. Yep.
Look at that. So I was right. I said that you might kick me if I was wrong. I couldn't remember if you had two or three.
I
I know
didn't think
you
you paid
had
that much
two.
attention to me.
Who, me?
Well, you were drinking. You were drinking back then, Joe, weren't you? Weren't you in turn four with Austin?
What year was that? 7 and 8? 07, 08?
Yeah. Well, that's when I started. I had my two
Oh,
street stock champions back in 2013 and 14.
yeah, that would be the time we were down there in turn four acting like a bunch of hooligans. Yep.
That's right.
Yeah. I didn't know you remembered that.
I don't forget.
Well, I wish you did because there's some nights I'm not the most proud of.
I think everybody has those nights, Joe.
Well, sometimes, when you're young and dumb,
Yeah,
sometimes old and dumb.
bulletproof.
Yeah, that's right. So, when did you start racing really young?
Yeah, so I got into go-karts, I think when I was 7 or 8 years old. My dad and my mother, they built or bought a go-kart. We went up and ran up to Rathbun Speedway. Um, Won a lot of races up there. Ended up moving over to Beaver Hill my last year. Um, Won some races over there. And my dad and Barry Payne, Terry Jacobs, they built, and Jim Burtzel, they put together a four-cylinder for me. I ran that in the Woodhall Warriors. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Before my car was done, Bill Shea let me run his car a night or two, and we had a lot of seconds. Derek Mills was pretty fast back then. He had ran a lot over at Outlaw. He was a little bit older than us, and he was a lot more knowledgeable at the time, and he was beating. He was always putting a pretty good beating on us. So I started in the Warriors, and then when I turned 16, I jumped into the four-cylinder class there, and back then, you're running against Bill Shea, Art Goodyear, um, Corky Grant. I know there's a bunch of those guys still that I'm forgetting, but those guys, they ended up a couple of those guys. Art, he was great in the modifieds, and Bill Shea, he went into street stock. I mean, those guys were pretty successful back then. They were the guys to beat. And then I jumped into the street stock class, and back then I don't think Danny Gordon had been passed in 2 years. I think he had won two championships in a row. You had you had him, you had Rod Mullen, you had Tony Foth, Ryan Knowles, um, Jared Hill, uh, you know, Mike's for Jeff Smith. A lot of those guys I watched as a kid. I rooted for them when they raced against my dad. They ran against my dad. So it
Hmm.
was really cool racing against those guys. And back then, to me, it was a big deal. I was just some young 16-year-old kid still in high school. And, those guys, I had a lot of respect for those guys, and they'd come up to me after the races, and, they really appreciated that. And I really looked up to them. And, a couple of them, they don't race anymore. And, now they're rooting for me. So it's kind of funny how it comes full circle and things turn around like that.
Right. Did you ever get the chance to race against your dad?
One time I ran against my dad. I was
Uh-oh.
running my four-cylinder, and it was on a Sunday. For some reason, we raced on a Sunday at Woodhall. I was racing my four-cylinder, and Brian Grant let my dad jump in his car. I think my dad went one lap, and something had happened. A guy had wrecked, and he took the front end right off the car. So I can say I ran against him, but not really. No, he didn't even make a lap, I don't think.
Right. Did
Um,
he get out of racing about the time you started or?
no, he ran for Chucky McGregor. He ran his BRP there for several years, was really successful in that. Um, and then I think Mike Smith jumped in it and Greg Galligan after that. And then his boy Jason drove it. And then I actually got to jump in that a couple times in the middle of the season when Jason couldn't make it.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
that was a lot of fun. They had some motor behind them in those cars.
Yeah, a lot different than the 604 crates or
A lot more motor. Yeah, a lot more motor. Not quite the suspension, but the motor. They they had a lot more motor than what we have right now. First time I jumped in it, we won the first heat we ever got to drive it. I remember Chucky coming up to me, wanted me to take it out for hot laps, and I told him, it is what it is, Chucky. I'm only going to be as good as I can be. I'm not going to learn anything in hot laps because you only get one or two laps anyway. So I was like, it is what it is. We'll find out. And we're lucky enough. We started up front that night. We won the heat, and then it rained out. So we had a couple good finishes. We ended up third in one of the big shows. We got hard charger that night, and they were a lot of fun to drive. I did not ever think of saying no when he'd ask me to drive it. That's for sure.
right. Do you ever wish that they would go back to something like that or do you like the 604s, I guess, to own and operate a little bit better?
They cost a lot more money. I mean, honestly, those street stocks aren't far off them anymore.
Mhm.
You put a little bit bigger tire on them, you're not lacking much, really.
Right.
They were fast at their time, but the street stocks have come a long ways since then, and they're not far off them.
Right. I remember when I first started watching, I remember Bruce Miller. Um, I don't know why, but he's one of the only names I can really remember from that 360 late models. I remember he just put a whooping on the field, and then it just seemed like the year that they did away with the 360s that did away with him. And I don't remember if I ever even seen him since or you know.
No, I think that was yeah, I think that was kind of ended him. Him and his dad used to run. I think one of them got in a wrecked one of the cars, Bennett or something. Then they just ran the one there. Yeah, they were both really successful, right up on the top, full throttle, and they would fly up top. They
Yeah.
carried left front all the way around, and I mean they were hooked up.
Yeah, I just
I
remember
want
that,
to say
but
they were a Mopar. Weren't they a Mopar too? Wasn't that a Mopar? Weren't they a big Mopar fan?
I wouldn't have any clue. That
I think
was
they were.
before I even knew most of the drivers. That was probably before I knew any of the drivers. That was like I said, that was when we were just sitting in the grandstand. So we knew Austin, but he didn't drive yet. That was just a dream in his head.
Yeah, it turned out to be a pretty good dream for him, I think.
Yeah, it did. Well, that's all he said he ever wanted to do was have a race car. So I guess he made his dream happen. But did you ever think about doing anything open wheel?
He used to come down.
What's that?
I would do it if the opportunity ever rose. I would jump in an open wheel. I got to run a crate sportsman one night. I got to run a crate sportsman one night. I would definitely take that. I would take you up.
Who's Crate Sportsman?
I can't remember the gentleman's name. It's been a while. I ran against him in the four cylinders too. You're going back way back.
Okay.
It might have been my first, second year in the street stocks. You're going way back now. Maybe a
Okay.
Van Etten. I think it was Van Etten. I can't remember his first name.
So they're way different now then, I would imagine. You probably wouldn't even know what to
Oh,
do.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never thought about getting that instead of the late model or the street stock?
No, not really. I mean, I never really been around those. I was with my dad, Cliff, and Buck Payne there, and they never had one, so I was really never around them. I know when I was younger, I rooted for Billy Van Pelt. He was my driver at the time, and uh, close I ever got was him taking me around the track in the modified, I guess, in a modified. So
Right. What about one of them? You had to buy one of them. Yeah, you doing a modified.
yeah, yeah, it'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Hey, what would you think about a late model sportsman race?
Late model sportsman race, I'd try it.
I mean, I know I don't have any idea how do you think it would work? Do you think it would
I don't know
work?
what are our lap times? How close are we?
Honestly, I don't have any idea. You want me to look it up? I could probably find it pretty quick.
Yeah, if you want to dial it up.
So what? All right, one second here. Let me go right through we got to go to the schedule. So you were there on the 12th, right? Yep. Go to live timing, rush late model feature. All right, so John Waters had a 16.514 on the last lap of the late model feature, so 16.514. And the next night was, let's see here, 17.570 for Kenny Peoples Jr. So you guys seem to be a little bit faster,
At least that night.
at least that night, right?
Yeah.
I'd like,
One way to find out. One
well,
way to find
actually,
out.
right. And I'm looking
Set
at
it
the,
up. Set
I'm
it up.
looking, set it up. I'm looking at the best lap here, and Kenny had a 16.561. Let's go look at the other one here. Let's go look at best times here. Best lap, 16.249. So it looked like Steve LeBaron was zero point 0.3 seconds faster, but he didn't even win the race. So, you know, that's they're pretty close. Well, how do you think passing would go? That might be a train wreck.
Uh, it is what it is.
Right.
One way to find out.
Do you think you could ever do that like an actual race or would it have, because I know Genesee did it where they or was it Freedom? One of them
Well,
did
I
it
Woodhull used to race the modifieds against the late models.
right. It'd be the
They'd
same
have a
thing
quick
with
dash,
them.
and I mean they put on a pretty good show.
I just think it'd
Depending
be
the night, one year the mods were faster, one year the late models were faster.
right. Well, now that I got my brain here thinking, what do you think about a crate motor, um, King of the Ring? I say put anything with a crate motor in there. If you got a street stock with a crate, run it.
I don't know how that would go. Just
Yeah.
any like 602, 604.
Well, I mean, yeah, legal. I mean, you'd want to be legal for the night, so I mean, you're probably not gonna cheat up your motor for a King of the Ring, you know. You wouldn't think. Do you like those King of the Bull rings?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. What's
No.
that?
Do you like the King of the Rings?
No, I do. Steve's got him pretty much dialed in. I did get to go against him last year in the final round, and he beat me there. I did win one in the street stocks one time. Um, if you put it at the end of the night, I would really enjoy it.
Track's
At
a little
least with this
drier.
car. Yeah, at least with this car.
Well, you just sometimes you gotta be a little mean out there. You gotta get mean, Brett.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure, I don't
My
know.
strength or my weakness.
Well, I also don't really know if I should be telling you to take people out and hitting people left and right either. I don't know if that's
Probably not a good direction to go.
no, no. You're probably doing it right. Hey, how's it feel whenever you do win and it's really loud when you win? How that must feel pretty good.
Yeah, I when you get out of the car there, and I mean, the crowd, everybody's going nuts, and just all the fans that back me. I have a really good fan base. I have so many people that come up to me, and I want to say that's contributed back. When I was younger, and I used to follow all these people, and they watched me, and I mean, I used to sit right there. I used to go when I was, 2, 3 years old with my grandmother. I'd sit right there. She'd never let me leave. I could never go up back and throw stones like the other kids. I had to watch the races. So, I mean, I was just addicted to it from that day on. And it's cool. It's cool because you get to experience it. You'll never experience your first win again. The closest you'll ever get is, when you move up into a different class and you keep succeeding, you keep succeeding. It's something you got to experience to actually explain, Joe. It's phenomenal. Just a
Yeah,
great feeling.
I bet it would be. I remember I used to say so back before when we moved out of turn four, when all my friends stopped thought it wasn't as cool to come anymore, and Austin had a race car and all that. I used to sit up behind your grandma every week. I tell you one thing,
Yep.
um, you'll never find somebody that cheered harder than that lady did.
No, I remember I'd go up there on Sundays and I'd go up to her house and hang out with her for a little while, and it'd be a night where we got wrecked or something happened. She goes, I brought you up through there. Her hands would ache so bad and her feet would hurt. And she'd be telling me the story. She goes, I brought you up through there 2 or 3 times. My hands hurt so bad. I can't do anything right now. And she meant a lot to me, Joe. I mean,
I'm sure.
it's different. It's a different feeling with her not being there in person.
Hmm.
Um, it, it's just something just, you miss her.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure her hands did ache. I do remember sitting behind her. She clapped that whole friggin' race, all 20 laps. She was clapping, and they weren't easy claps either. They were.
Right at the end of those bleachers too. No, and I mean she was right at the end of her seat, right to the end from green to checkered. And I think she missed one race out of from my dad starting racing to where she had passed there. I think she missed one race. Her
Yeah,
foot
that's
was bothering her; she couldn't make it to the races, and that was the only race that I can ever remember her missing.
yeah. I remember that too because everybody was asking if she was okay.
Yep,
Because if
that's
she
another
if she
thing.
didn't- if she didn't come in, everybody was starting to get worried.
That's another thing. You think you make a lot of enemies, and sometimes you think you do. But I'll tell you, racing is one of the biggest families you'll make. I mean, you have an incident like a flood or a house burns down, everybody chips in to help and make sure you're okay. And do what you can do to help them out. It's a really close knit family. I mean, you can go to any track and it's like that, from one state to the next. I mean, it's just great having people like that. One week you're screaming and hollering, throwing the steering wheel at them, and how you doing? You need anything? Let me know if you need anything. It's great to have a family like that you can rely on when times are tough. I know when
Right.
we had the flood here, several people reached out to my dad, myself, Kathy, and were more than willing to come down and help us. And a couple of my buddies there, their shops are burnt down, their houses burnt down, you know, family sicknesses, stuff like that. You always get people that reach out. Somebody you haven't heard from in 2 years, and they'll just reach out on a Tuesday at noon, and hey, you all right? Need anything? Let us know. We're here, and that means a lot. That means a lot, and for all those people that have always been there and done that for me, I want to say thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I always said that it's the biggest family, and it's funny because uh now if I wasn't a part of racing, I wouldn't talk to anybody besides my actual family. Um, it seems to be that that's the only people I talk to anymore, are either with the racetrack, Terry Pierce, Joe Wilcox, them guys, or drivers. That's really about it. That's
Yeah.
really the only people I talk to all week. So it's kind of funny how that, and I really haven't been doing this very long. So it's just kind of funny how quickly that
How many
seems to
years?
change.
How many years have you been doing it now, Joe? How many years have you been down there?
Oh gosh. 22, I believe. Do you remember off the top of your head what year Art Goodyear passed away?
Sorry.
Did you hear me or
Uh,
no? Oh,
I yeah, I don't remember exactly what year that was. Has it been 6 years?
yeah.
I want to say
I think it was no, I think it was 22. I think.
22.
Yeah, I think my first night I was the week after he passed, or maybe the week after, because I think that rained out, but I can't remember for sure. Um, and then I worked with Leon Andrus for the first week. I don't know if you know him. Great guy. I think he does Thunder Mountain or Afton or some stuff up in that direction. And then I worked with Kenny
Mhm.
Shupp, and then the week after that, they sent me out on my own. That was
Sink
the
or swim.
that was the only experience I've ever had.
You've become pretty successful, Joe. I mean, you get the crowd into it.
I try. Sometimes it's harder than it looks.
Yeah, I
You
can
know,
understand that.
well, there's just days where you don't really feel like being the voice of uplifting spirits, you know? Or the other
I'm
thing
sure.
that I've ran into that I've realized is I've become friends with a lot of you drivers, and sometimes I get mad up there. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
you know,
you can't be doing that.
well, I always said
Can't.
I like all the drivers, so I don't really have any favorites. I just, sometimes it's more of like a, well, why would you do that, like, but easier said than done.
Yeah, then you realize the mic's on.
No, that's not me. I don't do that. I try not to get in trouble. No hot mics. But I don't say anything that bad about anybody.
No, I know.
And usually, and I always
Uh,
say this too, if I ever call anybody out for wrecking somebody, that doesn't mean I said that it was intentional. I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how you guys drive the cars so friggin' close together and don't wreck each other all the time, because I would hit everybody.
for the most part, we just get lucky.
I don't think that's true. I definitely don't think that's true. You got a lot of experience behind the wheel, Brett.
I know I was when you asked me to do this, I was thinking how many years I've been doing this now, 8 years old when I started racing the go-karts, and it's what is it, 25 now? It's
You've
been a
been
while.
racing 25 years, huh?
Yeah.
Have you ever missed a week of racing?
27, but yeah. What's that?
Have you, other than that one year where you got hurt, have you ever missed a week of racing?
Uh, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, so that's
I,
commitment
I
too.
mean, other than if I was racing, then if I was going to take the car, then I went down. There might have been a night I didn't go. Um, but other than that, no, I've been pretty punctual down there. I'm down there when it's there.
Well, yeah, me too. I think since about 2013, I've been there since it's been there too. It's kind of funny.
It's hard to get away from once you're in that circle.
Yeah, well, not only that, what else? I mean, because there's a lot of other worse things you could do on a Saturday night, you know.
Yeah, there's
So if
probably
I
a lot of
wasn't,
better things. There's probably a lot more better things too.
well, I don't probably from your end when you have to spend all Sunday working on everything, but
Yeah.
from my end as a fan, that it's one of my favorite things to do. I got to go to the races, watch the races. I mean, what for a while it was what $10 to get in. Paid $10, go to the races, bring your own beer. It's been that way for years. I mean,
Yeah, and you probably told them you were 12 and got in free.
well, you know, I don't that
You're the
that's
only
not
12-year-old
that.
carrying a 30 pack of beer in.
No, I always brought, well, maybe when I was younger, but for a while there, I always brought a 6 pack. I had a great LaChase construction cooler, and it would fit a 6 pack of tall boys in there absolutely perfectly.
There you go.
And I would ride up and come home with my dad and did that for a long time, but until I grew up, had
Oh
to
yeah.
had to get my own stuff.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about announcing?
Shane Jackson always said I was pretty good at it. I would try it.
You should
Put
try
me up
it.
there with you. Put me up there with you one night.
Come up one night when your car's done.
All right.
Do it. I'll have you up there. I tell drivers all the time. For the most part, it's an open invitation. You just can't swear a lot because, kids and stuff.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, you kind of have to have somewhat of a filter, which,
Yeah, I can do that.
I think you'd be pretty good at it, actually. Maybe
Let's make
that,
it happen.
maybe you'll love it so much you'll get rid of the race car.
I might. I might come for your job next time.
Yeah, well, it probably wouldn't be too hard to take.
Come on, you don't give yourself enough credit.
Yeah, some days are better than others.
That's true.
And sometimes the night gets so long that you're just kind of out of it. I feel so bad for some of the four-cylinder races because there's just been some of those this past year was really good, but I think the year before, maybe the year before that, there's a few of them four-cylinder races where I'm just kind of going through the motions.
Yeah, definitely. Last year was a huge improvement. Getting out of there, at a halfway decent time, 9:30, and you're on the road. You can get home, maybe take the body off the car first thing in the morning, wash it. Definitely helps. People can get home early. It definitely makes it a lot better experience.
Right. Well, and I think for the fans too. I don't think fans anymore want to sit there the way they used to. Um,
I just think there's a lot going on in life now. There's just so many things people can be doing, and you know, with the way the economy and everything is right now, everything costs so much money, and it's tough to do the stuff that we do now. We're pretty fortunate, quite honestly, to do what we do. There's a lot of people that, I mean, that was their life. They went every Saturday, and you don't even see those people down there anymore just because, life's changed, different things happen, and just the times have changed. I was younger. I think, like you said, it was maybe $20 to get in the pits, 10 to get in the stands. You could buy some food for $5, and heck, you got your dinner and a pretty good show, and you went home. Now, you're going to spend $100 bill no matter what way you look at it. And if you got a race car, you don't wreck it, you're going to spend 200. So
right.
it's just different.
Um, and I think the kids too. There doesn't seem to be kids around like there used to be. I don't know if it's just that parents now can't really afford to bring a whole family, or exactly what that is. Because I'm sure you remember there used to be kids all over the place. Sometimes it's actually kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah, definitely the kids, they're not there as much as they used to be. Obviously video games, TV, stuff like that takes a big hit on that. I mean, even if you go to these high school sports, I mean, there's not even the kids that go out and play football, basketball, baseball anymore. They're just, and that's another thing too. The ones that do, they're playing basketball, football, baseball. They're playing that year round now. They have all these travel leagues, and they're on full weekend, Saturday, Sunday. As Bryce and his daughters, I mean, they're in cheer all year round, all weekend long. And they're going to different states, and different towns and cities. They're all over the place doing this, and it costs money and it takes time, and just it's tough to do it all. Tough to do it all anymore.
Absolutely. Hey, have you seen his boy race at all?
Cade,
I think we got a hot shoe on our hands.
we might. He's got some. He's got some potential.
Just, when I'm watching
If
him
he
go
sticks with,
around the
if he
track,
sticks with me, he'll go play. I tell Bryce all the time, if he sticks with me, he'll go places.
yeah.
I the night. So if you remember back, I don't know if it had to have been 2, 3 years ago now. Bryce was running Lernerville, and I think it was for that 25 grand to win. And all of his daughters went with him, and Cade was upset he didn't get to go to the races. So I took him with me to Woodhall, and we went down there and won Woodhall. And Cade, I brought him down on the track. He held the flag and everything. Great experience for him. And we came back here to watch Bryce because we made it back in time. And Bryce led that race all the way up till I don't know 1.5 laps to go, 25 grand to win, running against the best in the country. And Hess got by him there, in second. Still a huge accomplishment in that kind of race. And Bryce was telling me the next day when I dropped Kate off, he's like, he walked in and he goes, "Dad, how'd you do?" And I got second, buddy. And he goes, "Well, Uncle Brett won." And what are you going to say to the poor guy? And I was like, in a race like that and me running at Woodall, two totally different experiences in a show like that. But it was just funny. But yeah, I did get to go watch Cade a couple times this year. I watched him over, forget what the track's called now. When I raced it, it was Beaver Hill. It's over in Wellsville, right off River Road. He won that night. That might have been his first night ever in the cart. Lane Porter, Bryce, and I, we went over there. Of course, Hannah. And yeah, he won that night. And then I went over to Allen. Is it Allentown there between Wellsville and Bolivar?
Mm, I
I think
don't.
it is.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's Allentown there. Yeah, it's we went over there that night and he ended up winning that night. So the 2 nights I got to watch him, he won, did a really good job. Just got to keep him focused on it. He wants to, throw the football or run around and chase the neighborhood women. Just got to keep him away from that,
You
and
know.
he'll be fine.
Well, yeah. We'll have to see though, because you know he might take after his dad.
He might. He
Um.
might.
Yeah, I just can't believe it. I saw the video the first time he was in there, and I just couldn't believe how natural it was. But then you kind of look at Bryce, and it's almost the same thing because Bryce is one that just amazes me because it seems like he races 4 times a year, and every time he does, he runs second, first, or second. And I don't know how you could do that with no rust or whatever, but he does it.
Yeah, he's always been successful, but he's always done that. He'll come in, like you said, middle of the year, car's ready to go. And I mean, he's done it long enough where he has a pretty good setup and he keeps pretty good notes. He won't write them down. He'll keep them in his head, but he's got it down. He's got a lot of, big name guys that he talks with and they let him know what to do. And he knows a lot about them and he can hook a car up and do really well. And
Well, Brett, if he wrote it down, then you and Austin could get your hands on it, and he
yeah,
can't have that.
he'd probably lie to us anyway.
Yeah, I'm surprised he doesn't have a fake notebook.
No, he helps us out in every way
I'm
possible. He
sure.
wants us just to be just as excuse me, just as successful as he is. If he isn't winning, he will say that though. If he's not winning, I want you two guys to win.
Yeah. That's kind of all he is, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, boy, what was it? I remember that you guys might have finished top three, you, Bryce, and Austin, and whoever won got out of the
Yep.
car and just said, "That's awesome," just running with you three up and the way that it ends up, and that's just fun. Three good friends running one, two, three. That's awesome.
Yep, we've done that a couple times now, and it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat when you do that. You can run hard. Obviously, each one of us wants to beat the other one, and it's fun when you get to race against guys that you've grown up with and you've shared experiences with, and even off the track, hanging out and hunting or riding side by sides, whatever, grabbing dinner or whatnot. And it's just really fun to go back and tell stories like that. Remember that time? I just hope one time I can be in the winning circle when it does happen. I'm tired of saying I was second or third.
Well, and maybe next time show them that number 99 a little up close and personal.
Yeah. No, we race each other a lot of respect.
Well, I would say that that's got to make it even a little bit nicer too, because you guys know that, when you look to the outside, you see the 94, the 32, you can give it hell and they're not going to come down on you. They're going to give you a ton of room and, vice versa.
Yeah. Austin and I had a couple really good runs last year. And he's not going to give it to you, but he's not going to move you out of the way to win it. And if it was reversed, it'd be the same way.
hmm Well, really, Austin's another one because he kind of took to it like a fish to water too. When he first got in there, I couldn't believe how well he did, but
Yeah, neither could I because I ran against him in the street stocks, and
yeah.
we he'll tell you it was not a lot of fun. I don't think. I think he worked on it every night of the week, and then he's like, "Hey, I'm getting a late model," and I'm like. And actually, that's what drove me. Like I was like, Austin went there and he set the world. I mean, he went out and won like his fourth show win. No, I think he won his first night in it over and out. I forgot about that. He won the first night over at Outlaw with it, and I was like,
Yeah.
wow,
Dash, right?
good for you, man. What got me interested in, yeah, I was like, oh, maybe I could do it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got motivated to finally get one. And I bought Jason Knowles' car. He hooked me up with a pretty good deal at the time. And it's fun racing with him. He's a fun guy to hang out with and be around the track. He's just funny. Your face hurts when you get done at the end of the night talking to him.
I'll tell you one thing about um Jason Knowles. If you ever go to a racetrack, you're going to be hard pressed to find a guy you'd rather spend the time with
Oh yeah.
because you
And you
like
know
you
what? He's a pretty decent cook too.
he is because he will make you laugh the entire time and cook some good food because it's just he's one of them guys. I don't he kind of seems to always be that way. I know sometimes he got mad on the track, but it seemed like after I don't know an hour that all kind of went away and he's back to being himself and he's
Yeah. He always told me, well, he told us a story at Lerner Valley. Uh, Austin was upset about something in the car or something, and Jason, he's like, "Why aren't you mad, Jason?" And Jason's like, when I'm mad, I leave it all out on the track." And I made the comment. I said, "Yeah, sometimes even your Hans device." He had gotten in a wreck over at Bradford one time, and I was there, but I don't remember the whole story. But he ended up chucking that across the track. But then he
Yeah.
came back in, the happiest guy. He's just a good guy to be around, like you said. And you being around guys like that, you just laugh. They just make you laugh. Makes it a good experience.
Yeah, that's the thing is it makes it a lot of fun too, especially when you got a good group of guys. And I that's why I always try to tell people if you're interested in racing, just go be a part of a crew because that'll be some of the most fun you ever have. You're gonna have to work your butt off, but it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and there's a lot of kids too. There's a lot of kids that come up to my pit, and where I started, you're scraping the mud, off the car and stuff. And next thing you're putting the tires on, and next thing you're putting taking the body off, putting that on, and then you're making adjustments on the chassis. That's how you learn. And quite honestly, that's the cheapest way to learn. It's a lot
Hmm.
harder when you buy the car and learn that way. So I
Right.
mean, that's how I started. I used to help Dad on his, Cliff on his, Buck on his. Um, and then finally I got the opportunity. I always wanted to race, and it was just a dream that finally happened.
And I've always said too that you won't find one guy in the pit area of 90% of racetracks that if you go up to him and say, "Hey, I want to learn," and you're willing to put the time and the effort in, they're gonna teach you.
Yep.
Because if I'm not mistaken, you all kind of need some help.
Yeah, there's always a night where you just can't figure it out, and you go over and talk to so and so. They'll give you their knowledge, and help you out any way. You bend something, you break something. Anybody will give you the shirt off their back. They want to put on a good show just as much as the next guy. That's the main reason we're all down there. We think we want to go down and make money, but honestly, none of us are going to get rich doing this. And the best part of it, 10, 15 years down the road, you're going to be able to share that story of this happening, that happening, and you pulled it out. Some of my best stories are, the night before we knocked the front end off, it bent the frame and everything, straightened it out, put the motor back in, went back down to Woodhall and won the next night. That just the drive and what it takes to do something like that. Like people just to actually not be there and see it, you gotta be there to experience something like that. It's just a good feeling when you can come out with a win in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brett, I think I might have kept you a little longer than I anticipated, but I could you're one of them guys I could probably talk to all night if I allowed it to happen.
Would you have me on the clock?
Well, no, I just like to keep them, you know, uh viewable viewer I don't know what I want to say. Viewer I don't know. Make it a little easier for the listeners. You
Okay,
know. We're
I'll take it.
I'm not quite the long form podcast yet. But maybe
You'll get
someday we'll
there.
get there. Maybe someday we'll get here. We could be doing 2 hour things. Now, I don't know if anybody really wants to listen to us, uh, bullshit for 2.5 hours, but you never know.
It makes it fun.
I'll tell you what I want to
Give
do.
everybody something to laugh at.
One week, I want to get you and Bryce and Austin in here all at the same time.
We can do that.
I think that would be a little that might get a little crazy.
We've done it before. We might have to extend the time slot a little bit.
Oh, that's fine. That might have to be a Saturday in the off season. We can all have a few adult beverages during and kind of see what happens.
We can do that.
Why don't you just tell us a little bit about the people that help you out? People can hear you a little bit better on this thing, so all your sponsors and stuff.
Yeah, I got to thank all my sponsors. I got to thank Louis Gun Shop, Lubick Sales and Marketing, Les Smith Construction, RLB Trucking, Griswold's ETR Service, Victor P. Zugaby Excavating, Paint Trailer Sales, Canisteo Auto Mart, Ken's Collision, the Valley Bar and Grill, Palmarosa Maple Farms, Bailey Beefers, Powers Taxidermy, CRC Repair, Butler Excavating and Concrete, Universal Builders, Brennan Thurber, their real estate, Howard Hanna, he's a great help. Ron Amadon's backhoe and dump truck service. I got to thank all the other, racing groups that I race with, Bertzel, Allen, Davis, and Spencer. Those guys, they're always here for a good time and they'll help me out just as I would those guys. I got to thank my dad, Dave, Chris, Todd, John, Rick, Sean. Um, Also, I just want to throw out there, it's in the works to have another race party this year. Uh, Hopefully, it'll be as big as last year and as good. And um, if you're looking for something to do, I believe it's January 31st. Come on down and have a good time.
Who your race party? Is that who you're saying?
Yep.
January 31st?
Yep.
Okay, you cut out just a little bit, so I wanted to make sure we got that right. I imagine that that's at the Legion in Canisteo.
That's correct. Yep.
Yep, that's where it always is, right?
Yeah, it has been the last few years. Yep.
That's good because you know what, you might even need a little bit bigger of a venue because I've been to that race party and boy does it get cramped.
Yeah, they fill in pretty quick, and though we still always have a pretty good time.
Yeah. Now one more thing before I let you out of here. Do you have your sponsors written down or did you remember them off the top of your head?
Believe it or not, I had that in my head, Joe.
I'm very proud of you because it's
I
that
thought about how am I going to try to remember them. I have to get up and walk around the car and read them off, but I only had this side of the body on, so I knew I wouldn't have memorized them.
that's funny. All right, Brett. Well, hey, I appreciate you joining me. I hope you heal up. What's the recovery time looking like for that?
I don't know. It doesn't sound good. Hopefully, it's not as bad as some, but hopefully, it'll be a quick recovery.
All right. Well, I think I speak for everybody when I tell you that have a speedy recovery. We can't wait to see you. I guess on the racetrack or whenever I talk to you again.
Sounds good. Have a good winter, Joe. See you
Hey,
around.
you too. Driver interviews brought to you by DNL Disposal, or I guess any interview. We do more than just drivers here, but whatever. They're brought to you by DNL Disposal. They offer regular residential garbage route in Jasper, Truthburg, Woodhull, Addison, and the surrounding areas. Aside from that, they also offer dump trailer service rounds for your bigger needs. They'll drop it off at your location. All you have to do is load it up, and they'll come and take it away. Give them a call today at 607-382-7609 to get started with DNL Disposal, the premier residential waste management service in the Woodhull area. And if you do happen to call them or get a hold of them, tell them you heard about it from here. Um, Now, I hope I'm giving them a lot of business. I hope it wasn't just a complete waste of money for them. So if you do happen to need, whatever, if you need your garbage picked up, if you need I don't know, you need to clean out your garage, give them a call and tell them that you heard about us here, heard about them from here, and hopefully we can give them some business. So, we're just going to try to go that. So once again, I do want to thank you all for listening. Uh, just continued prayers for the family of Carl Guild, Tim and his family, and Gwen. Just want to say once again, we send our condolences to them. Tragic deal there, and thank you all for listening. And then please like and subscribe on Facebook, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Rate 5 stars, give it a download, all that good stuff. Until next week, I hope you all have a good week, and I will hear from you shortly.